Good morning, beautiful people. We are in the kitchen of the studio house at this moment, and Nate's asked me to take a look at a couple of things to experiment on. There are small problems that we'd like to get remedied. One of them being this sink, which is a sink that sits below the counter space, which makes it nice to wipe stuff off into the sink instead of getting it caught underneath the lip of the sink on sinks that sit on top of counter spaces. But I don't know if you can see this. The caulk that fills the space between the sink and the bottom of the countertop, or the stone that forms the counter, is pulling away in some spaces, mostly the middle here of the sink, and also is looking a little bit gunky. So we need to look at the best way to prop the sink up, maybe from below, so it stays adhered to the bottom of the countertop, and also probably replace the caulk. So we'll strip that out and put new caulk in there. I still need to get equipment for that. Something else that he's asked me to look at is this dishwasher. It just, even without this stick in here, we get a lot of movement on this dishwasher because it hasn't been screwed into the bottom of this stone counter top. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna try to find a board that will fit beneath this countertop that I can then screw these two tabs on the dishwasher. Hopefully there will be enough friction, I guess, between the wood and the dishwasher won't be able to move when we open and close the door to it. So I'm gonna currently take some measurements for how much space we have between dishwasher and countertop and the tabs on the countertop. So good morning, beautiful people. Back in the kitchen here at the studio house. Yesterday I mentioned that we had this block, I called it a stake for some reason, this small block of wood in the space between this dishwasher and the countertop in order to try and stabilize the dishwasher. So last night I was able to get this board cut out to size, hopefully. It's about 6 inches deep, and then it's 3/4 inch thick, except for on the edges where I cut it down to about 1/2 inch thick so that it can fit over the top of the brackets on the dishwasher. And then this morning I stopped at Home Depot and we grabbed some 3/8 inch screws in order to screw through the brackets into the 1/2 inch portions of this board. And the hope is that will stabilize this dishwasher a little bit more than this little block did. So I'm gonna hop to that, let's see how it goes. Y'all, we are at Home Depot. In fact, we got here early enough to see the lights come on for the Home Depot signage right there. I'm here to look for some epoxy and some clamps to go on the bottom side of the counter to help hold the under counter sink up, because there aren't any. The people who installed it simply put some caulk between the sink and the counter underside, and then some boards on the sides. So we're gonna reinstall the sink, hopefully, if we can find the equipment we need. So let's head inside. All right, so I was unable to find the clip, or I found clips but not epoxy bracket mounts for under counter sinks. So what I had to do was go to Amazon to order those. Those should be arriving tomorrow at some point, which means I can install them on Wednesday. So that project will have to wait for a little bit later this week, but we're gonna get to the studio house and work on a few other things. So we'll see you there. All right, so we finally made it to the studio house. We purchased a shop vac for the shop / garage, or anything else he wants to use it for. And it has a little bit of assembly that is required. I believe this is a bag of parts, wheels and such. I think that's the main thing, is getting stuff placed on the bottom so we can roll it around the shop. So I will get that done this morning. All right, just got to the studio house. I did just make 2 quick stops, one at Home Depot and one at Walmart to grab a few things for a project I'm hoping to get started and finished today. So here we are, front entrance to the studio house. Kind of spooky for the spooky season. Let's go ahead, head inside, take a look at what we got, and see if we can't get the sink fixed up today. All right, so we are now inside the studio house. I'm gonna try and work on the sink, and gonna see if I can't disconnect all of the hoses and piping underneath the sink, and then cut away all of the caulk that's currently there, clean it all off, and then we're gonna try to reattach the sink appropriately, I guess. So we've got some packaging that we're gonna mix up some 2-part epoxy on. Got popsicle sticks to mix and apply the 2-part epoxy. We've got our mounts that we are going to epoxy to the underside of the counter, which are supposed to hold the sink up. That epoxy is supposed to hold some pretty good amount of weight. Got our epoxy, Gorilla Glue epoxy. Got our mini scraper, some razor blades on it to scrape the caulk off and clean the underside of the counter with. And then we have our new tube of caulk that is for kitchen and bath project silicone. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it's an experiment for me. So we'll see how long it takes. And let's see if we can't get it done today. Okay, in order to get these out of the sink, this one I'm not 100% sure yet how to do, but I'm going to need a pipe wrench or 2, which I do not currently have, so I'm gonna need to run back down to Home Depot. Good morning, y'all. We are, of course, back in the studio house. I yesterday was able to drop the sink, get it off from beneath this counter. I do not have enough experience or confidence in myself that I can get the rest of this pipe fitting underneath the sink off on this, so I won't be able to put a clamp through that drain to clamp on the 2x4s that are above and below the sink. So what I'm gonna have to do is cut a 2x4 to length that can stand inside the cabinet, that can press up on the sink a little bit beneath on that side. So that'll make more sense when I do it later today, but I do need to get the sink reinstalled this morning before Nate gets home from Texas and before Nate's client, Aaron Peterson, shows up for his filming day tomorrow as well. So we want to have a sink ready for them to use for any purpose or reason that they might need it. So I'm gonna hop right to this, hopefully get it done today. So one thing I'm gonna do to prepare the sink and the underside of the counter for the reinstallation of the sink is I brought this orbital sander. Probably not the best, maybe not the best way to do this, but I'm gonna use this orbital sander to kind of sand off the rest of the gunk that's still stuck to the bottom side of the counter and the top of the sink. The old caulk adhesive that they used to stick it up there, that was just falling apart. So I'm gonna clean that up so the new caulk can adhere without anything in the way. We'll just cross our fingers and hope that that does the trick for us. So I'm gonna hop to it. Okay, so we got it all. I got the sink reinstalled. I'm really hoping, crossing my fingers, that I didn't miss anything, just from doing my own research on YouTube on how to install this kind of sink. The anchors that we epoxied underneath should do the job as far as holding the sink up in place. I did leave a 2x4 and a few other boards up under there for the time being to help stabilize and hold the sink up. We won't turn the water on until tomorrow morning, just to make sure that this caulk, this silicone, has had 24 hours to set, I suppose. It's supposed to be water ready in 30 minutes, but we're just gonna play it safe, wait till tomorrow morning. I'll plug the disposal in, turn the water on, see how we're looking. But for the time being, we've got it pretty much reinstalled, so feeling pretty good about myself. Good morning, y'all. I've got Aaron Peterson, so one of Nate's clients, been with Nate for a while now. Always requests these core 42 grams of protein drinks. We usually get them vanilla and chocolate. So I've got that picked up, and we'll just head on up the street to the studio house. So they're in the fridge for him when he gets here at 8 o'clock this morning, and then I'm gonna turn the water on in the kitchen sink. Cross your fingers for me that the kitchen sink's still attached to the bottom of the counter. And then I'm gonna get out of there so that when Aaron gets there and the videographers get there, they can hop right to videoing Aaron.
Thumbnail for video 20, option 2.
Perfect. Okay, video 19.